It is a great honor that Mr. Fraser gives me to be able to present some reflections introducing this wonderful man who needs no introduction, so I should literally shut up, you know. But it's 1973, and as a young idealistic priest at the time, I heard about the difficulty that the United Farm Workers was having with the sweetheart contracts that the Teamsters Union had entered into with the growers. And so there was the boycott and the strike at the time, and Cesar was asking for clergy and religious to go out there, but to be nonviolent. The first experience I had was in a lunchroom, and I met a priest whose nose was all bandaged up, and I said, "What happened to you?" He said, "One of the Teamsters hit me in the nose. He weighed 300 pounds. I was very discouraged at that point, but, but stayed in there because I saw how others were suffering and were able to do it. And it was Cesar's example, I think, that entered into my life very deeply at that time and helped me to understand the principles and the experience and the importance of nonviolence. And also to tell you what a wonderful man this human being is, and what a great person Cesar is. Several years ago, it was because of me that he came here to our archdiocese to receive the Bishop Joseph Donnelly Award. Bishop Donnelly was the man who preceded me as auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of Hartford, but he was a state labor mediator and also the head of the bishop's committee for farm labor work, and he flew out at least 7 times to the West Coast, and because of his great skills, he and Monsignor George Higgins were able to help, amongst others, to get the United Farm Workers to sign with many of the growers at that time. So anyway, when he came, I happened to have been in the hospital with a bad back, and I called up and said, it'd be nice to talk to Cesar on the phone. Well, Cesar not only talked to me on the phone, but he came from the Hawthorne Inn all the way over to St. Mary Hospital in Waterbury, where I was. And this was about 10:30 at night. He had to drive to Bloomfield from there and get up and be on a plane at 7 in the morning. I mean, this is the kind of man he is. You know, so not only is he a strong labor leader, but he's a man of deep spirituality and a beautiful heart. He's the president of the United Farm Workers of America, AFL-CIO, and he founded and leads the first successful farm workers union in the United States. Through the UFW, tens of thousands of California farm workers have won better lives for their families. Cesar was born March 31st, 1927, on his grandfather's small farm near Yuma, Arizona. At the age of 10, life began as a migrant farm worker when his father lost his land during the Depression. The Chavez family migrated throughout the Southwest, laboring in row crops, grapes, and tree fruit. Cesar left school after the 8th grade to help support the family. He joined the United States Navy in 1945 and served in the Western Pacific. In 1948, he married Elan Fabela, whom he met while working in the Delano vineyards. In 1952, Cesar was working in apricot orchards outside San Jose when he met an organizer for the Community Service Organization, a barrio-based self-help group forming among California Mexican Americans. Within several months, Cesar was a full-time organizer, coordinating voter registration, battling racial discrimination against Mexican-American people, and forming new CSO chapters across California and Arizona. In 1962, after failing to convince this group to commit itself to farm worker organization, he quit his paid job, moved his wife and 8 small children to Delano, California, and founded the National Farm Workers Association. That's what you call faith. In September 1965, Mr. Chavez union with 1,200 member families joined the AFL-CIO's Agricultural Workers Organization Committee in a strike against Delano area table and wine grape owners. Against great odds, he led a successful 5-year strike and boycott that rallied millions of supporters to the United Farm Workers and forged a national coalition of unions, church groups, students, minorities, and consumers. The NFWA and AWOC merged in 1966 to form the United Farm Workers, and the union affiliated then with the AFL-CIO. From the beginning, Cesar's union adhered to the principles of nonviolence practiced by Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Cesar conducted a 25-day fast in 1969 to reaffirm the UFW's nonviolent commitment. The late Senator Robert Kennedy called Chavez one of the heroic figures of our time and flew to Delano to be with him when the fast ended. In 1970, the boycott convinced most table grape growers to sign contracts with the UFW. But in 1973, when the farm workers' table grape contracts came up for renewal, most growers signed with the Teamsters, sparking the largest and most successful farm strike in American history. It was in mediating this dispute between the United Farm Workers and the Teamsters that Bishop Joseph Donnelly of Hartford spoke the last energies of his life as a labor advocate. And when he did die, Cesar came and participated in the funeral mass and read the first of the scripture readings. Cesar lives with his family in La Paz, the union's headquarters near Bakersfield, California in Keene. Like other UFW officers and staff, he receives a minimal stipend plus modest food and living benefits. 2 years ago in Business Week magazine, they listed the top industrial CEOs and what they garnered, and also the top labor leaders and what they earned. At the bottom of the list was Cesar Chavez with $5,400. It's true. Cesar is currently leading an international grape boycott called the Wrath of Grapes, which symbolizes the threats posed to vineyard workers and to consumers by reckless application of pesticides. He is a courageous and principled leader with a profound spiritual life from which he continues to draw strength as he perseveres in the struggle in la lucha for and with his farm workers, perhaps the most underpaid employees in our economy. He does this with the objective of moving our society to becoming more just and caring. Cesar, thank you for all you have done and all you are doing. May your example prod and inspire us all to be patient and courageous in a non-violent struggle for justice, which is the basis of peace.